Tuesday, August what?
September 2nd.
September
Did I say
2nd?
it?
Okay.
Sorry. September 2nd. Thank you.
Terry Tice, our Strategic Planning Committee.
Thank you, President Keller. We will have a strategic planning meeting tomorrow night to follow the NCA meeting. So it should start on or about 7 o'clock, assuming that the other meeting is finished by then. We will be meeting the candidates for the Tree Commission. So
Thank you very much. Anyone else over here? No? I would like to take a moment to thank Sherry Tice, who's the Council President Pro Tem, for covering for my absences during my vacation time. So it's good to be back. And Sherry, thanks for doing that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very much. Reports of city elected officials that are here tonight as council's guests. We have the auditor, law director, and mayor. Mark, do you have a report?
Yes, the 2024 audit was completed. There is a copy downstairs, and there's an advertisement in the paper stating that it has been completed.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Law director, Kendra Kenny.
Thank you. Just briefly to make comment on Mr. Klitzka's announcement of the meeting regarding the marijuana moratorium. If there are any questions related to that, I would ask that they're forwarded to my office in advance of that meeting. Unfortunately, there is a Records Commission meeting that evening for the city, and I will not be able to attend the committee as a whole to address those issues. So there's some further clarification, status of current things. I would just request that in order to make your meeting productive, you feel free to reach out ahead of time to me so I can supply some additional materials for you.
Yeah, thank you, Kendra. I believe it's just multiple groups or organizations doing presentations to kind of like weigh out the different opinions of it. I don't expect any per se legislation to come out of it. It's just.
And that's fine, but if there is questions about the current state of some of that legislation from the state, if there are any of those questions that would aid in the preparation of those materials and presentation of those materials too, let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mayor Michelle Blanton.
Thank you, President Keller, members of council. I just wanted to publicly thank the citizens of Circleville for their continuous patience as we do continue to do street work throughout the city. There's been multiple roads that have been closed. Court Street has been closed a couple of times. And so I just wanted to thank you all for your patience as we continue to do that. We did have the opening or grand opening at River Ridge up on North Court Street, the housing development. They had a little soiree, if you will, of people to come in and see their model home. And so that was a fun time had for all. We did unfortunately have to say farewell to our intern since the last council meeting. So Gracie is no longer with us, but she is with us in spirit, and the impact of her work on the city will continue as we move forward. Hannah and Brenda and the rest of the team did a great job with Movie in the Park. We had probably about 250, if not 300 people there. The community band was also there and performed before the movie got started. And so that was a great event. Many other citywide events over the last couple of weeks. I don't want to try to name all of them because I know that I'll forget one, but kudos to all of the organizations throughout the city for putting those events on. And then just a reminder, school is back in session. So if you're driving through a school zone, please make sure that you're paying attention to little ones that may be crossing the street, or pay attention to the speed limit signs. And then if you see kids walking to and from school, just be cautious of them. All schools are in the city, or kids that are in the city have gone back, including our college students will return to school tomorrow at OCU. So that's my report.
Great. Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions for the city officials here that are our guests? No? All right. Thank you. This is the portion of the meeting where the public can address city council. At this time, would anybody like to address city council from the public? No? All right. Thank you. Melissa, do we have any communications?
Yes, we have two pieces of communication. Circleville City Council will hold a public hearing Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in council chambers located in the City Hall building, 127 South Court Street, second floor. Circleville, Ohio 43113. The public hearing will be to hear the following request. Zoning amendment rezoning application number 225 as requested by Cole Thompson located at parcel ID number A05-2-055-00-011-00. The applicant is seeking to rezone 314 South Pickway Street from DB Downtown Business District to HSU Historic Single Unit. The second piece of communication, Mark already kind of said, but it's the final audit for 2024 has been completed and is available to the public in the lobby of City Hall.
Great, thank you very much. Could I have a motion to place this correspondences on file? So moved by Katie Hedges, seconded by Jeff Hallinan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that brings us to the legislative portion of tonight's meeting. We have one piece of legislation, so Melissa, go right ahead.
A resolution approving one or more consents to add certain parcels of real property to the Circleville New Community Authority District with respect to the Circleville New Community Authority as a new community authority established under Chapter 349 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency.
Council, you've heard the first reading of this resolution that originated in the Finance Committee. Katie?
Thank you, President Keller. So these are the 5 properties that got added to the NCA. There was a public hearing about these as well as a couple of finance committee meetings. If you recall that we had a previous piece of an ordinance that listed all the properties. These 5 were just not ready at the time. They do include TNT FL Realty, the Racetrack Incorporated, Philly Petroleum LLC, SVKC LLC, and Alto Real Estate LLC. We do have Tyler Bridge with us from Bricker & Graydon, who has been very helpful in coming to all of these meetings. If you have any questions, but it did come out of our committee with a recommendation for passage. And
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend council rules by Katie Hedges, seconded by Jeff Hallinan. Roll call, please, on the motion to suspend council rules.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Plitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
yes,
Duval.
Yes.
Council, you're free to act on the resolution.
Motion for passage.
Motion for passage by Katie Hedges, seconded by Tom Duval. Roll call, please, on the motion for passage.
Hedges.
Yes.
Tice.
Yes.
Plitzka.
Yes.
Hallinan.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Lukasak.
yes.
Duval.
Yes.
The resolution passes.
This is signed 08/65/2025. That's it.
Great, thank you very much. Tyler, thank you again, and Hannah, thank you for being here for that. Council, that brings us to the new business portion of tonight's meeting. So, sure, go ahead, Chair.
Thank you, President Keller. Almost said Crawford, my goodness. Blast from the past. When we redid the council rules, Rule 24 pertains to board and commission appointments. And Section 5 of that states that if more applications are received for a board than seats are available, the committee chairperson will invite those applicants to the next council meeting instead of the committee meeting to be interviewed by council members who may then go into executive session to discuss the applicants, reach a consensus, then come back to open session for a vote. We have 6 candidates for the 3 spots on the tree commission. We're hoping that the other 3 will stay on as volunteers as well, because that board can also always have volunteers. They are planning to be at the meeting tomorrow night. So I would suggest that we waive this rule to let the Strategic Planning Committee interview those applicants tomorrow evening. All the council members are invited to stay after the NCA meeting, take part in the interviews, ask questions, go into executive session, have your, part of the conversation and help us reach a consensus on what to do. That would save time in our next council meeting and also prevent those people from having to come back again.
Tom or John?
Is that a rule that we can just waive like that?
So I'm going to turn to the law director. So I talked to Sherry about this, Kendra. So these are council rules that we adopted, how we handle different processes of city council. So if we don't waive that rule for one time, that means this process is delayed for another couple of weeks at least. And again, they'd all have to come back to council. They could still come to the committee tomorrow
Oh,
night.
absolutely.
Meet
Sure.
the candidates, but it's going to be at least 2 weeks. Is there any reason we can't waive that rule and let the committee do the legwork of the interviews and then make a recommendation at the next council meeting?
I think that's the issue. It has to be a recommendation from the next city council meeting.
Yes,
You cannot go
yes.
into executive session tomorrow night to do a vote to name the committee member.
We can go into executive session to have a conversation about it, though, to debate the candidates, or to have, we can do, I thought we could do
My
executive session.
concern is
and-
all of a sudden you're making it almost a council meeting, and it's not. It's a committee of the whole.
Right.
So my stance would almost be that your process and then go to executive session at the beginning of the next meeting, which you can do, and then have your essential vote, I guess.
Is there urgency for speed? 2 weeks?
Well, it would be nice because the next tree commission meeting will be then on September 11th. And so we'd like to have those people, their 3 seats in, so they can have a quorum. You know, that's 3 out of their 7 members. We don't have to,
Call a council meeting then for tomorrow.
Yeah, they'd be in for almost a week and a
You don't
half
have
if we do it on
24 hours.
the second.
You're doing a 6 o'clock council of the whole.
we're not 7, it's actually 7.
7:30,
But
yeah. Unless you call 7:30 meeting.
It's just a strategic plan.
yeah, it's just a strategic planning meeting.
But you're saying we could call a special council meeting to do the vote
So
tomorrow.
all 7 could then be there.
Sure.
I think that's cleaner.
However you want to do it. I just wanted to facilitate the process and, you know,
I was just trying to think how to facilitate it.
I think the best facilitation would either be, you can go to executive session at the following council meeting at committee as a whole. If they want to stay and interview, that's fine, but it's not a council meeting. Because any council member can show up to a committee meeting, correct? And we have,
Yeah.
so if they're all going to stay for strategic planning, and that's going to be
Which
the,
is not a guarantee. but-
right,
correct,
but they're all have the option to stay.
They all have the option to
Anybody
stay.
who's interested.
yeah. Or you need to call a meeting for tomorrow night.
I don't see the sense of urgency in changing the rules. Just they can get voted in on the 2nd and their meeting's on the 11th. I mean, what's the big deal?
So
And once we start changing rules, we can,
On September
another committee can do
2nd.
it. I can do it next time for
September
safety.
2nd, we have a committee as a whole at 6 for marijuana discussion, marijuana dispensary discussion, and a regular city council meeting
Yeah.
following at 7.
Yeah.
So if we don't have an interest in waiving the rule, all of those applicants will need to show up at city council September 2nd. 'Cause that's what the
Well,
rule says.
Well, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. That's why we're just trying to discuss how best to handle it. It would still certainly be recommended, a recommendation coming out of strategic planning, coming back to the council meeting on the second. So it would just be a matter of doing the interviews tomorrow night so that all the candidates don't have to come back to council and spend, well, probably at least a half an hour of council time, you know, having them come in one by one, be interviewed. So,
Well, let's do this. So you're suggesting waive the rule?
yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we do
We'll
waive
see
the
if
rule
there's support for that.
just for the interviewing process, not, you know, it wouldn't be any final decision. It's just for the interviewing process to happen at the strategic planning meeting.
Okay.
But
So-
not the vote. I just want to be
No,
clear. It's
not the vote. No, the vote would still come to council. It's just, would hope anybody who cares to would stay and talk about it at that point, so we don't have, you know, one thing happening in committee and another thing happening in council.
It'll be recorded tomorrow too, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's technically rule number 24, item 5.
Yes,
You're making a motion to waive that.
yes, one
Is
time.
there a second to that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Seconded by Tom Klitzker. Roll call, please, to waive that rule 24, item 5.
Hedges,
Yes.
Tice,
Yes,
Blitzka,
Yes.
Hallinan,
No,
Moats,
Yes.
Lukasak,
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Okay, so that way rule is waived. So tomorrow night you will be able to interview all those candidates.
okay, thank you.
And then your committee will make a recommendation.
Yes,
Out of the 6 candidates of what 3 should be appointed to fill the seats.
yes.
No executive session.
We can't talk about it. We can still talk about it at the strategic planning meeting,
But
can't
not
we?
in executive session, is what I heard the law director say.
I don't think it's appropriate because you're calling it a strategic planning committee meeting, correct?
Yes,
So I think the better course of conduct is if you want an executive session for council, then that starts the beginning of the meeting, at the council meeting,
On the second.
before then any vote.
The tricky part is that we as a committee, and any council members would be invited to stay, need to be able to make a recommendation, the 3 out of the 6 that we want to. So we have to have a conversation. We always have a conversation
So
about
the
that.
law director's saying in
But you're saying
committee.
in
it needs to be an
committee.
Open session.
So the candidates could be sitting there listening to our conversation?
I think the problem is you can't have an executive session because you don't have a council meeting to accompany it. There's
And
no,
you
there's
can't
no
get
reason to
together
call an
to talk
executive
about it
session
because
because
you
we're not in a
have too
meeting.
many councilmen together.
Just your committee is.
Okay, so we're not allowed to do executive sessions in committee meetings?
I think my concern is if you do an executive session in the committee meeting, it's the committee members only, not the entire.
But we
council
can
floor.
invite whoever we want into executive sessions. Well, okay,
I
that's
don't
fine.
like the way this looks.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to be
Okay.
honest. I guess some heads up would have been appreciated to go over all of this before we're on council floor.
Okay, that's fine. We cannot do it. Any private conversation then,
Okay, so you're going to interview them tomorrow night?
We'll just interview them
Which is the
and-
purpose of your meeting.
which is the purpose of the meeting, yes.
Okay.
So technically, we cannot bring recommendations to the council, can we?
Sure, you make a recommendation.
We can,
That's what we're looking for, is the
Right.
committee
Yes,
recommend.
we need to make a recommendation.
Yeah, that's the goal, is a committee make a recommendation to full council on who to appoint to those positions.
So we're going to have this committee meeting tomorrow and discuss the candidates in front of the candidates to make a recommendation to the council.
We voted you on council in front of you.
That's right.
Yeah.
You voted yes for it. Go for it, man.
Yep, that's what I'm just
It's a
asking to
choice you
clarify.
made.
Yep.
Unless you want to change.
Nope, now I know.
Well,
you know.
and I
Okay.
think for both of us
Thank you.
being new,
Thank you very much for that. Also under new business tonight, we have Mark Rogels, the president of the Circleville Pumpkin Show. He has a couple of board members with him as well, and he is here to present the economic impact study of the Circleville Pumpkin Show to our community. So Mark, welcome.
Let me thank everyone for this opportunity to talk to you. This year will be my second year as president of the Pumpkin Show, and I have never addressed city council before. Yeah, lucky. I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud to represent Pumpkin Show. I brought with me Nanisha Osborne. She is the co-treasurer on the executive board, and Secretary Kim Wellman. We did reorganize a year or so ago, and we did form an executive board of 7 officers. The rest of them could not be here tonight. But I want to talk to you about something that we thought was very exciting. We commissioned an economic impact study. What does the Circleville Pumpkin Show mean to the economy? It had never been done before. And I'll publicly thank Nanisha. She spearheaded it, started it, guided it through the year-long process to get the results. So you should have an electronic copy of the survey itself, published by OU. It is some heavy reading. Took me 6 times to get through it and totally understand what was going on with this. So I tried to condense that into this PowerPoint. And it should give you a summary of exactly what Pumpkin Show means to the economy. And when I say the economy, I mean the local economy, the state economy, and the surrounding economy. And I'll get to all the money. That'll be the last thing that we talk about. As background information, some of this you will know, but in 1810, Circleville was established as a seat of Pickaway County. Just under 100 years later, in 1903, Circleville held its first pumpkin show. The pumpkin show began thanks to Circleville's mayor, George Haswell, who had the idea of displaying agriculture such as corn, fodder, and pumpkins in a very small exhibit. It resembled a county fair. Since the first pumpkin show in 1903, there have only been 4 times that we did not have it. One was during World War I, 2 years during World War II, and of course, the pandemic a couple years ago. Pumpkin Show attracts visitors from all 50 states and even some from other countries, and I'll discuss that here in a little bit. Over time, it's become the 6th largest festival in the United States, with attendance of over 400,000 each year. The Pumpkin Show boasts a slogan, "The greatest free show on earth." I truly believe that's a true statement. However, since there's no admission fee and no tickets to track attendance, there's like 100 different entrants into the festival, alleys, etc. That makes it more difficult to access the exact number of attendees. In 1908, the Columbus Dispatch reported that 5,000 people attended on Friday, while 10,000 attended on Saturday. In the 50s, attendance was estimated about 202,000. Finally, the last published figure that I know of, in 2010, there was an estimated 100,000 attendees a day, making a total of 400,000. Our estimates from last year are above 400,000, around the mid 400s. Pumpkin Show Incorporated is a nonprofit which was formed clear back in 1946. It was formed to facilitate the operation of the Pumpkin Show and distribute profits for the benefit of Circleville residents. Our mission statement, to summarize it, is to provide for and hold an annual pumpkin show upon the streets of Circleville, Ohio, and to promote and encourage fellowship among patrons, visitors, and citizens of the community, and to promote the general welfare of agriculture, manufacturing, and mercantile interests of the city and surrounding territory to demonstrate the resources of Pickaway County. To get into the actual economic study, it was commissioned in July of 2024. And it took a long time to get the parameters, what we were going to use. Pumpkin Show Committee was very strongly in favor of including negative information. If you read the entire survey in your electronic copy, there is negative information. So we did not want a mirror or an inflated image of Pumpkin Show. We wanted a true representation of what it means. The analysis relied on surveying patrons, vendors, and businesses to tailor the analysis to the effect of Pumpkin Show. Researchers calculated the impact of operations of the Circleville Pumpkin Show, visitor spending, and vendor spending. It's important to note that this impact is felt over the course of 5 days of Pumpkin Show. That includes preview night, but that similar impact should be expected each year. Surveys were created and administered in 3 separate groups of people attending and operating the actual show. The first were the patrons, those who attended as visitors, vendors, those operating booths or displays, and permanent businesses located in Pickaway County, including the downtown area and the surrounding parts to the city. Each survey was designated with a series of questions to be administered both online and in person. Individuals taking surveys could skip any question they wanted if they were uncomfortable or unknowledgeable, and no question was absolutely required. They could even leave a question blank. We start with the patron survey. That survey was designed to be administered mainly in person, and it was. The people conducting the survey went around the show and interviewed as many people as they could get a hold of or who would agree to talk to them. This included topics such as party size, how many were there in their party, their estimated income per year, estimated money spent at the show, and any accommodations that they used while they were in the area. This survey was most detailed of the three and had the largest number of respondents at 304. Because questions were voluntary, not all responses were included in the analysis. After what they called an initial cleaning, that's the removal of responses that were not appropriate. The number of usable responses were 228. So they dropped from 304 to 288. Patron demographics, their age distribution. Largest percentage was age 55 to 64. Age 0 to 5, there were 26, 46 at 6 to 12. I was surprised at the large number of 163 for the age group 13 to 17, and 60 for 18 to 24. 84 was a relatively large group at 25 to 34. 69 participants aged 35 to 44. 61, 45 to 54, and 74, 65 years of age and older. The majority of the survey respondents were identified as males. Since only one person from each group could answer the survey, this might have indicated males were more likely to answer for the groups of patrons, not that there were twice as many males attending the show than females. Continuing with the patron demographics, 93% of the people that responded lived in the state of Ohio. Of the respondents who lived in Ohio, just over half said they live in Pickaway County. Just over half. That means there's a lot of people from outside the county that attend the show. There were a total of 27 counties that were the respondents indicated they lived in. You can see the list there. And there were 13 states that were represented in the survey. And remember, it started with 304. It's a small sampling of the 400,000 people that are here. But you have 27 counties and 13 states in that small sampling. This shows Pumpkin Show, the reach of Pumpkin Show and its ability to attract patrons from all over the country. But I want to add something that's not in the PowerPoint. Last year, we were represented, we know of, that contacted us, the committee, for other countries. Germany, for example, had a television station here, or a movie crew, and they were filming parts of Pumpkin Show as a backdrop for their movie. England was represented. They were architects from OSU that planned their training at Ohio State every year around Pumpkin Show. Italy and New Zealand. New Zealand was actually a bunch of radio station owners who interviewed Nanisha, and they took that back to New Zealand. They had family in Columbus that they stayed with. Again, they are the only country that actually contacted Pumpkin Show itself, but 4 countries, again, represented that we know of in last year's show. Continuing patron demographics, 68% of respondents indicated that the Pumpkin Show was their main reason for being in Circleville. 27% indicated they already lived here. 5% indicated they had another reason as to why they were in Circleville besides the Pumpkin Show, and they conducting business, shopping, or just passing through, and maybe they just got caught up in the mess. 54% only planned to attend one day. 10% expected to stay all 5 days. 93% to attend 4 to 8 hours of the show. 7% were expected to attend 40 or more hours during the week. And 14% planned on staying away from home, which involved motels, relatives, and other accommodations. 56% attended in 2 to 3 person groups, while 24% were in 4 to 5 people groups. To give you the figure, 6% had one person, 56% 2 to 3, 24% 4 to 5, 7% 6 to 7, 4% 8 to 9 people, and 3% 10 or above. From the patrons, the next level of the survey were the vendors. It was oriented toward income and financial success for the vendors. The survey asked questions about money spent in preparation for the show, expected income, and the importance of the show to, to the vendors and their own monetary goals. There were 175 total respondents. And again, after pruning of the inappropriate responses, the usable amount was 148. The research team surveyed a variety of businesses, and that included fee-paying businesses on city property and non-fee payers on private property. Vendors were more willing to be surveyed compared to unofficial ones, and certain types of vendors were more likely to respond based on their product and management structure. The vendors surveyed were both a mix of small businesses that operated their own practices and larger organizations that opted out of permanent establishments. Smaller vendors were unaffiliated with large companies and more likely to respond with their own being present, had fewer rules in terms of sharing financial information. Again, they were not required, if they were not comfortable, to share financial information. Vendors such as Carnival Rides and Games were unlikely to answer the survey as their businesses were not owned by the employees and their incentives to make money were confined by time. They're also under contract with Pumpkin Show. You see a representation here in a bunch of graphs, but the types are listed: corporations 15%, et cetera, in-home business 16. There's a wide variety of vendors. Their purpose, mainly 130 to sell a product. Others are marketing. There might be businesses with displays, create sales leads, distribute information such as hospitals, things like that. And again, a large variety. Vendor products, food and drinks, number one. That makes sense if you walk Pumpkin Show. Artist goods, number two. And then you get into clothing, household goods, jewelry, and again, you can see the graphs. Importance to the vendor. Remember, I told you we included negative information. Not all important. That's Pumpkin Show, not important to them, 5%. Slightly, maybe a little bit, 7%. Moderately important, 18%. But it's important to note that 70% said it was very important. Permanent business survey, that was for the local businesses. I kind of want to point out, and I'll mention it here in a minute, they were the least number of participants. They were a little reluctant and hesitant to basically provide information. Quite frankly, they're self-employed. It's their business and they didn't want to provide it, and that's okay. For that reason, and that sole reason of the permanent business survey, the figures that we gathered are accurate by mathematical formula, but they do make the final estimate money-wise conservative because we do not have their actual figures. So when we get to that, keep that in mind because whatever figure is displayed is very conservative since they were reluctant to participate. The permanent business survey was designed similar to the vendor survey with an emphasis on income and financial success. Total respondents was only 80, And again, after the unusual responses were cleaned up, 60 were usable. They were asked to complete the survey during the show, through email, or through phone calls after the show ended. And the businesses, again, as I stated, had the highest refusal rate of all three. 38% had businesses within Pumpkin Show's boundaries. 40% of the respondents had businesses outside the Pumpkin Show boundaries, but still within Circleville. 22% had businesses outside Circleville, but within Pickaway County. 56% said the show did not affect their sales. 65% indicated the Pumpkin Show was not at all important in meeting their financial goals. 17% of the respondents indicated that the show was very important to them and their monetary goals. Several businesses indicated that they either lose money or close their businesses entirely during the Pumpkin Show. Just as many businesses indicated that they did see a bump in sales. I have always said that if you're a business in downtown Circleville, if you're retail or a restaurant or something like that, you love Pumpkin Show. If you're the car parts store who can't get these customers in there, or you're a title agency, you may not share that same feeling. Now the money part. Key terms that I need to go over with you before we get to it. Employment equals the number of jobs split between full-time, part-time, and seasonal jobs based on standards for industry in the analysis. If you read the detailed report that you have an electronic copy, there's probably 10 pages worth of mathematical formulas and scientific things on how they got it. And that's what that's talking about when it says industry standards. Labor income, the wages and benefits received by employees. Value added equals contribution to local, regional, or state gross product, or what's contributed to the economy. Output equals the value of production, including the intermediary costs that go into producing or production or product or service. Direct effects, that's the impact of the jobs and income created directly by operations of the event through visitor and vendor spending over the course of the event. Indirect equals the impact of business-to-business expenditures, or otherwise known as supply chain impacts. And finally, induced impacts equals the impact of household spending resulting from the increase in labor income in the direct and indirect effects. The first table. There is a total of $1.33 million in value added to the economy in Pickaway County. Additionally, the employment multiplier indicates that for every 10 employees directly employed, another 4.2 employees are supported in the Pickaway County economy. Likewise, a value added multiplier indicates that for every dollar of value added directly to the local economy of the Pumpkin Show, another 38 cents is added to the Pickaway County economy through indirect or induced effects. And you can see employment, labor income, value added, and final output, $3.361 million. Not bad for a 4-day show. If we move on to table number 2, this is total effect of a Pumpkin Show in the state of Ohio. The direct event is modeled within Pickaway County, but spillover effects are allowed for both the 6 counties surrounding Pickaway and then the remaining 81 counties in Ohio. This modeling accounts for accommodations outside of Pickaway County, as well as the broader impact of the pumpkin show brings to the entire region. The regions are added together in the final row of the table to show the total impact in Ohio. Total impact 4.6. And you can see again the employment figures, the labor income, and value added. And the last table, or I'm sorry, the conclusion, visitor spending had the largest impact to local economy in Pickaway County with over 1.2 million of value added to the local product. Operations of Circleville Pumpkin Show and vendor spending have more modest but still significant contributions at approximately 123,000 and 60,000 value added respectively. Considering the regional and statewide impact of the pumpkin show, the contribution to the gross product grows significantly from approximately 1.33 million at the county level to approximately 2.13 million at the state level. This contribution to the gross product exists because the pumpkin show is being hosted in Circleville. We are proud to be part of Pickaway County and part of Circleville. The last thing I want to add, the 4.6, the 3.6, the impact or the effect is not pumpkin show money. Pumpkin show is not making what everybody thinks it is on the festival. It is impact. It's impact to the Goody Nook out on 104 and 22. The gas stations and restaurants up in South Bloomfield. It can be anywhere for these people coming in, Columbus, you know, and all the 27 counties that were represented in a very small portion, 300 and some odd people out of 400,000. Again, conservative study because of how it was conducted, but I think it's accurate for the people that it was that involved in the study.
Thank you, Mark. Could you add,
Thank you.
Council, I'd like to know who paid for the study?
Pumpkin show.
Along
And
with the help,
along with the help of P3 Foundation Chamber. Yeah. We thank you.
Okay. Mark, do your guests want to speak? Council, have questions for Mark while he's here? Judy?
I just have one clarifying question. Mark, on the patron survey page, you said that it was the largest group that responded with 304 responses, but then it says that 288 were unusable.
No, 288 were usable. I might have typed it wrong.
No,
Oh,
it
no, I
says-
read it wrong.
It says usable.
Thank
Usable?
you.
Okay.
But my question revolved around that as well too, because it said they did 3 surveys, but they threw the other 2 out.
No, they did 3 types. They did the patron vendor business surveys.
It says,
There was one survey, they could do it online, they could do it in person. The patron was almost all in person.
okay, the way I read that, it just said the most detailed one was the one that was used and had the largest number of respondents. So I was thinking that that was the one that was used and not.
No, they had options on how to actually complete
Gotcha.
it.
I figured I'm going to have to read this whole thing deep into it anyway as well too.
And who did the surveys?
OU? Is that right?
Yeah, because the numbers too, I got to see that because I don't follow that. But it's good.
What is the source of income for the pumpkin show?
Pumpkin Show's income for the show comes from the vendors. The only actual, I guess, other than renting the booth space, the only actual income is from sponsorships such as parades, things like that. The ride company does pay Pumpkin Show a percentage of what their intake is. And that's pretty much it.
Do all vendors pay that?
The vendors on the street pay the fees. The private lot vendors do not.
So if they do not, they're at the pumpkin show gratis. They're not paying anything to be here.
That is correct. That's correct. Last year, we debuted a official vendor sign. And what that meant was that vendor contributed to the expenses and the booth rental et cetera. Private lot vendors currently do not do that.
And we have no control over that.
Currently, we do not.
Other questions for Mark?
Was there any data specific to the city? Because this was all like Pickaway County. It keeps showing. It doesn't show specifically for the city.
I think there was one section I think I read that did deal with Circleville, local. And then it split into Pickaway County. I don't remember the figure.
Gotcha. Everything I saw said county.
Mark, I know this is a public meeting, so it's now public information. Who else do you plan to share this with?
I had originally actually wanted to present it to Pickaway County Commissioners. I think they need to know about it. However, that meeting this morning was canceled. We have a meeting scheduled with the private lot owners and the local businesses to share that. If I'm asked to present it to Rotary or anybody else, I'll present it everywhere we can present it. I do want to point out, you mentioned private lot. We always have a yearly meeting with the private lot owners. I have expanded that this year to the businesses to include them. We've never had an actual meeting with the businesses that are downtown or in the area within the boundaries of Pumpkin Show. And I think that's important that we establish communication with them. But we're going to share it everywhere that we can share it.
I know the mayor's been asking for the data, and I know Tim Corburn of P3's been asking for the data, so it's
Yes.
good that it's now available.
Yes. You're the first to get it, and then everybody will get it after you.
Audrey?
I just want to say thank you for this and the different groups that you surveyed. I'm curious, as a committee, I know this was economic, but do you address the people who live right next to it? And how have you ever surveyed them or acknowledged of how that impacts their own personal lives, like with parking and some of the vandalism? I'm just curious because I represent a ward that is really impacted. And as I have conversations with people, some flee town or some love it, but yeah, it's disruptive. But somehow, how do we acknowledge that this is great for the community, but to also recognize how disruptive?
Pumpkin Show, Pumpkin Show is very hard to market. But we have a reputation and it's widespread. I will tell you that I personally, as the executive committee, will tell you they are involved. Residents in the downtown area contact us all the time about concerns, and we work through everything that we can work through. We have contact with local businesses. To give you an example, the car parts store down on Franklin Street. We try to accommodate them as much as we can. They're just an example. Parking is a nightmare for everybody, including me. But you know, we try to work through that also. That's done by the city. But we're in constant communication with the residents. And as I said, we've never really established that with the individual downtown businesses, you know, storefronts. And we're going to do that this year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Does the Pumpkin Show give anything back to the city for renting it for a week?
Give it back to the city.
Any money or anything?
Well, the city
to
collects RETA and stuff like that. Money does not go directly to the city. However, Pumpkin Show pays all the expenses. The law enforcement that's there, Rumpke, the trash service, that's all Pumpkin Show expense. So indirectly, we supplement that expenditure for the city by Pumpkin Show paying that.
Yeah, the extra cost that
Yeah.
it takes.
Sure.
Thank you. Well, and you also have benefited the city by taking a vacant lot and putting a nice park in that
Yes.
is your private property, but you do allow the city to use it for things, and it's a good addition to our downtown. So thank you for that, and thank you to all the board members for the countless hours you must put in to bring this together for our community. So we do appreciate your efforts, and it's amazing to see this
Thank you.
financial impact really put into numbers.
Thank you.
John?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your time and effort in putting this this survey together and giving us some numbers that we can look at and have something to dig into. So I appreciate you taking that time.
We hope to be here for a long time.
Mark and Lisa and Kim, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you. Council, you have any other new business?
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn by Katie Hedges, second by Jeff Howland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
City council meeting is adjourned at 7:52 PM. Thank you very much.